the Board of Selectmen to order for April 26th, 2018. All three selectmen present, recording secretary is present, town administrator present, and doing the recording for the town is Mr. Leo Martell. Okay, good evening, gentlemen. For the record, we just came out of a quick non-public session with the tax collector concerning certain individuals in town and their taxes. The session started at 6:45. Lean took the minutes for that, and she will forward those to you as appropriate.
Okay.
Mike, I'll make a motion that we seal those non-public meeting minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, those minutes will also be sealed. Okay, I'm gonna start off today. We have some, the regular minutes to be approved from April 19th. We have two sets. We have a regular and a non-public.
I'll make a motion that we approve the April 19th, 2018 regular meeting minutes as amended.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Nope.
I made a few, small changes. There were just a few words here and there, and I thought they were well written. Thank you. It was good. First time you out of the box, you did well.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bob, are you gonna make the next one, or want me to?
Okay, well, I can approve the non-public minutes of April 19, 2018.
I'll second his motion.
As amended, Bob?
Is amended, yeah, there was just a couple of corrections, but, yeah, so it's amended.
And those are ones I made a few more changes. I summarized it. Did you see the? Yeah. Did you see the changes, Dave, on the main changes I made?
I did.
Okay. Bob, you saw the changes I made?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And all in favor of the non-public minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
And these will be sealed as per direction from last meeting.
Maybe I should let you sign for me too.
Bob, you need a signature? That's gonna come back to us too.
Thank you.
Looks like we now put in an open envelope. And those are going to be signed. Okay, I'm gonna open up for getting public comment.
Yep,
You would say
just
name,
to let,
name for the records.
Lee Martell, just to let everyone know, yourselves and, my viewers, myself and the DHAC, a couple of members were out doing some research out in the woods today, and
DHSC,
DHAC, Dunbarton Historical Awareness Committee,
just for the record.
and, the ticks are out in full force, so be ready for them.
I understand the chair got 6 ticks on her.
I think it was 7 that we knew of.
Okay. She was not a happy camper. I saw her by the library later on today.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so her final count was 6.
6, yeah, she said. She was not happy.
I had 3. Fred, we don't know, but you know, he wears his hair different, so it's easier to catch that too.
Yeah. Thank you. I hear no other further comments. I'm going to bring it back to the board. And the first thing on the agenda is milfoil. Or shall I say the host program in support of the milfoil eradication. We have it looks like we received the grant of $1,700 for the lake host that pays for the people inspecting the boats at the boat ramp.
So Dave, just to, bring you up to speed, for the past 3 or 4 years, we have been participating in this lake host.
Yep.
Group. Basically what they do is they will provide all the funding that's needed to hire one person to do boat inspections, and then by allowing or having the residents in the area do match hours. That will convert to grant money, and so we'll get to have one person paid, and then the only stipulation is that they contribute, X amount of hours, which they typically have no problems doing at all with, all the people that live down that
Okay.
area. So it's a good program, costs the town $300 for a membership, and that's what they bill us, and that goes into that pool that will, pay for the,
Did it require a signature from me?
yep, signature and on 2 copies.
Right.
I'll make a motion that, per RSA 31:95-B3:B, we accept a grant in the amount of $1,700 for the New Hampshire Lake Coast Program.
And I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion on the, accepting the grant?
Nope.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Let me take a moment to sign this. Yeah, so, Lean, we're all set.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move into town business. The first thing is, library attic repairs update, and who's gonna talk about that?
I'm going to.
Okay, excellent.
I couldn't get a hold of Jeff Trexler, I think he may be on vacation with his kids out of town. I've been trying, since last week in the middle of the week. So I had an email back from Bowen Construction, the construction company working on our school,
Mm-hmm.
and I contacted Greg Smith of their company, and he said they'd be happy to bid on the, remainder of the work due on the second, or the attic level of the library. I had Lean send me the plans electronically again, forwarded to him, and I spoke with Peter at Cohen Steel. Let him know that they're gonna be contacting him and have him price out, steel with all the corrected angles on it, for them. So we'll have a complete cost of them, including the new steel to finish the job and the balance of the labor of work. I checked his schedule and they said, you know, we were hoping to get it done before the next winter season, hopefully within the next couple of months, and he said it, most likely if their company was able to do it, it'd be on the later half of that. And I told him as long as we had somebody on the schedule, a reputable company, and, it was before snow fly, I thought it would be okay,
I totally agree.
so.
Are you leaning towards letting them complete the job as?
That's what I'm hoping, and first of all, we'll get the, information back to Lean so we can forward it to our town attorney to take, legal action on
Once we
sewer
get the quote.
construction, yep.
Yep, okay, all right.
So, as soon as I get the numbers back from them, I'll review them, but I didn't wait for Jeff, only because I had the contact with their company, so,
Sounds like you did a great job, thank you.
so that's the update there.
Very good. Okay. Since we're talking about the library, I'm gonna mention something, there were two outstanding projects in the library to be, finished. One was the brass door plate along the entry door,
Yep,
and the door had to be a little bit, shall I say, worked till, so it was closing. I can open the door now with 2 fingers, and the brass plate's been installed this afternoon.
I saw that as well.
And then the other door, which needed the lag bolts going all the way through, not the lag bolts,
Through bolts.
2 bolts, excuse me,
Those have been installed.
installed. The thing is, it needed to be tweaked this afternoon. I tweaked it with a little bit of WD-40, and I had to remove some tape put there by someone to help with the door earlier. And once we removed the tape, it worked like a charm. And you can actually open that gently, just with a gentle push as a crash bar, and it works wonderfully.
Yeah, I went there and tried everything out, and it looks like the installation is good, and everything did function. Nothing's stopping you now when you open the door, I'm glad we got it fixed. I checked to make sure he didn't use the one from upstairs, and the one upstairs is still functioning as well, so.
And as a small project, the same person, put a nice cover over the electrical box on top here, which you can see now. And I think he did a good job there. So the thing is, we were holding the check, and I think, we don't no longer have to hold it, but that was the amount of money we were gonna pay him for those 3 projects, Dave. If we have a consensus just to forward the check to him,
He may stop by sometime here
okay,
shortly.
that's the thing, we're good to go.
Yep.
But the thing is, overall, I think, we're there. The only thing now, Lean, that, I was talking with the library, we need to get the, what we talked about briefly last week, just a small gutter,
Yeah.
adjustment,
Yeah,
and addition, some more, some gutter placement, a little
And-
bit better. Dave showed it to me, I talked with Mary about it, so we're all on the same sheet of music.
I
Look
know.
at it Friday,
Yeah.
it makes more sense.
Yeah,
and I'm supposed to, contact builders.
Yep.
And see if they can.
come over next
Yeah,
time.
Yeah.
and adjust it.
Well, adds more
Yeah.
drainage pipes, and bring it around the other side, to the right-hand side of the dog run.
Lean, let them know that I think that's the enlarged gutter system on there too, it's not the smaller one. Just in case
Enlarged?
they,
Yeah, they have a lot, it's a 5 inch rather than a 4.5 inch.
so they'll need to know that for the drainage pipe when they bring it.
Okay, so when I call them, tell them what they installed is the larger gutter, 5 inch.
Yeah.
And we wanna extend it to the other end, and then somebody will be there to be able to,
Either Mary knows, I know, or Dave knows, so whoever's available,
Okay.
we're in briefed and we've discussed it on site. Okay, and now moving on, I'm gonna pass back the library, now we wanna talk about flag duties. We have a flag there, and the thing is, the gentleman who's been taking care of that flag up and down, we've had 2 gentlemen been taking care of the flag, was Gary, who works in the town clerk's office as a former deputy, he's been doing it for several years. In his absence, it was done by another gentleman who's now incarcerated. And so, we have no one at this point, Gary's moving out of town and the gentleman's incarcerated, obviously cannot do it. What
Would
happens,
you guys settle that at men's coffee tomorrow?
well, the thing is, I don't wanna volunteer anything for it. But is that the town,
so
whose
typically,
responsibility is that in town?
I don't,
Is that a responsibility, or should we make it one? Or
It's
should,
it's a veteran's
it's
responsibility.
I think the way they word it in the email that I receive on a regular basis is that to show respect for blah, 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 we're going to ask that communities recognize this by lowering their flag. And so
Who sends that out to
the
you?
state usually
Oh,
sends it to
so-
me, and then before I got, someone on board with doing that duty, I
Can I
used to
just
call
ask,
Gary.
can I
all the
just
time.
ask, is it a library flag or a town
It's a
flag?
town flag.
So if it's a town flag, we should be
Yeah, I replace it
responsible for
on a regular basis. Fred usually asks me to,
is that, it's up 24 hours a day, because there's a light on it, correct?
I think we just corrected that in part of our electrical, changes, cause it was on the invoice that you guys just signed that the flagpole light, was not functional and he repaired it again. So I don't know if that,
I've seen the lights on it at night.
but this is, if that's the case, it was on the invoice, that would be the second time we've replaced that light.
Lee, did they get the lights going up in the attic in the second floor?
Supposedly what Ernie did on his invoices, if you looked at broken down separately, it describes that what he repaired on those different things, but I believe he covered it and got everything, fixed.
All right, so if it's up majority of the time, the only thing that needs to be adjusted is when it goes half-staff by notification from the state.
Yeah, I mean, if
We-
need be, we're the closest ones here, we're here 5 days a week, we can draw straws and go out there and move.
All right, and
So
I'm,
that might be
I
the
live,
easiest.
I live the closest, I can be drawn upon to, you can call upon me,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna volunteer to be called upon. Okay, so that should take care of that.
Okay. I can put-
Just gotta send me a quick telephone call with a message, say, Mike, the flag
Okay.
needs to be at half flag.
So we'll make it, a duty of the town office staff
Right.
to,
And I think we all can help if we're in town, we can all help if I'm out of town.
Yep.
Okay, so that, take care of that. Okay, next item. RFP for a town hall painting, how are we doing on that, Lean?
0. I
Okay.
unfortunately had so many things go wrong this week. I've been extremely busy and I
So
apologize.
we'll put it off till next week.
So we will have to continue that. I hadn't even had a chance to remove it from the agenda, so. Again, it's almost there, but I need to do the once over reading it, really make sure I haven't missed anything, and then, provide
Okay.
copies for the board.
Okay.
It'll have to be continued.
Okay, the next item was, the welfare guidelines, and, I don't, do we have to go in non-public for that at all?
Well, I think,
I don't think they're developed guidelines.
no, what I'm gonna ask the board is, and Bob kind of, helped me a little bit with this, is, it's been a long time since we've reviewed our welfare guidelines, and what I do have in-house is not, I don't feel is adequate, and not clear. So I've reached out to a few neighboring towns, and I also included the Art of Welfare Administration from the NHMA, for the board to take home and read. And I believe with this, Goffstown guideline, along with the,
Lee, can you tell me which ones are which here?
so
NHMA.
the single sheet
Yeah,
is actually just to show you that this tablet, or this draft Dunbarton came from Goffstown. I
Okay.
reached out to Goffstown, and they sent it to me in Word, because they recently adopted this in 2017, and I thought I would try this. I am also gonna reach out to Ware, but when I talked to Patty Sharon, who runs the pantry at the church, she mentioned that we should really emphasize on, or find towns that are similar in size, and ask them for their welfare guidelines to see how they have it worded, but,
feel like maybe Warner or Hoppington or something
I
like
think
that.
Chichester too is another, Warner, you think,
Warner and Hoppington, I think.
Hopkinton,
Yeah, you're probably
and I
right.
think Chichester has the same population, but,
Right.
so
Well, I
I'll
don't
reach
think,
out.
I think, just check a few out, we don't wanna read everyone in the.
No, and
But
if
we'll,
I
we'll
find,
read this week, and we'll have some idea when we talk about it next week, I would think.
correct, and,
Right.
and then Bob suggested that perhaps if there's a lot of information that we have to, decide on, we could possibly hold a workshop.
Right. I'd like to read through it this week. like
Right,
you said,
that's, I figured even if you take a little bit of time, you take a few weeks to look at it,
Yep,
so we're familiar with it, and then have a workshop, late afternoon, whatever works.
Sure.
Just, rather than running it late into the night and trying to rush to get
Yep.
done.
Okay, following up from that is, now, the thing is, we also need a welfare director.
Correct.
And, termination notice has been sent to the previous director?
It has, I have not received a return receipt as of yet, but I have reached out to two different individuals in the community. One who's involved with the pantry in town, and then the other one who has a background of social services. Both of them have expressed interest, both of them have asked for the, documents that the board will be working with, just to see what they would be using for tools, and,
have we posted it yet, Lean?
no, have not, so.
And just explain why you haven't been posted.
Well, originally, after our last meeting, I felt that it was necessary for me to get the letter to the individual, that she was no longer working for us, do that legally, and then, that would free up the, availability to post it for,
So that portion's done now, so we'll post it?
we wanna do that still with
I
the
would say
two
post it,
individuals?
and we'll get some applicants maybe while we're working on the,
Okay. I think another thing too that we'll have to work on in
and let them know
conjunction
that
with
we are
this
working on our copy
is
of
a
it.
job description. And I have no job description for the welfare director, so.
Well, we'll do that at the same time, I guess, right?
The job
So-
description, we could probably, I think, I'd like to come up with a draft this week, because that's probably imperative. I mean, the priority of the job description, then we can work on the manual, but to come up with a paragraph job description, I can, let me look at NHMA and look at,
Sure.
I'll do-
descriptions.
Yep, I can do that.
That's only a paragraph or two for a job description,
Okay.
but that's priority, then we can work on the manual, which is gonna be pages and pages.
Okay, so welfare director posting, and then job description.
Right, you really can't post until you really have a job description, correct? You shouldn't.
Well, that's typically the first question they ask, is what is the job
Exactly.
description?
Oh, yeah.
What am I signing up for?
You wanna wait another week until we get that done before we post it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
I should be able to get that to you early enough, so you have time to look at it before Thursday, so that we can discuss it, to make changes during the meeting,
And have
and then
it for next
have
week,
it ready
next
for,
week.
do that for
for
next
adoption.
time,
Okay,
yeah.
so we'll hold off on posting it just
just until we get the job description
Okay, job
approved, and we go, the target will be to approve it next week as soon as the draft is
Okay.
circulated for review. Okay, that's good. All right, now,
Beautiful.
all right, any further discussion on welfare? I think we're,
The only one is, and you mentioned that filing cabinet with the files
Mm-hmm,
does belong to us.
mm-hmm.
So I don't see a problem with removing that lock, so you can put a lock that makes it secure, but you have access to some information that you might need in the
Right.
meantime.
Right,
Because
Where is it?
I came in Monday night and left after our meeting, and she was here till 8:30, working on an application,
oh, wow.
you know, so knowing what's in that filing cabinet might have
Might
been
help.
very productive for her, and might have shortened that time, you
Is
know.
this the welfare filing cabinet? We don't
Yes.
have access as a town to it?
She's
No,
the-
because she's got the keys, but it's our files, it's the
So-
town files.
pop the lock and make it happen.
So-
It'd be like, you know, I'm gonna use the recording secretary, like the recording secretary having all our minutes and deciding she didn't wanna come back.
Right.
You know, I mean, they are ours, and that's what we pay for, and so I think it would've made it a lot easier for her to try to go through some of the hoops rather
Well, I
than.
think now that we've notified her, I think we can do what we need to do then.
We've made an attempt to order a key, cause it's a Staples cabinet and it's one of the solid cabinets, like the older ones. And so we've ordered keys, they're supposed to be in yesterday, so we're hoping
They
they'll
may
be
work.
in.
Okay,
And if that works, then we're good. If not, that the lock is getting popped, and I'll order bars similar to this, and then put a lock on it that way.
very good.
And we'll still utilize the same cabinet.
And then we'll give the new person we hire the key if that's needed for him.
All right. Anything else, Bob?
That's it?
Okay. Dave, anything else with you?
Nothing on welfare, no?
Okay, I'm gonna continue on. I'm gonna go just continue the town business. Dave, I think is, based upon last week's meeting, I arranged a meeting with you and Ken
Yep.
Friday, I hope that went well.
It did, went very well.
Okay, it was more of an educational process for all parties. I was not in a position to answer some of your questions last week.
Yep.
And that's why I asked Ken for some help, and I asked him if he would meet with you. I could not meet because it would have been a public meeting,
Right, right.
and so it was a one-on-one, so I
And
just,
he answered most of my questions in reference to how they scheduled the inspections on there.
okay,
And he showed me where he drew from, and he showed me how they required the applicant to provide those inspections. I was still a little, I still think that the planning board might be stretching a little bit out of their bounds, but it was done on this one, and it was done on that other application. So as long as he follows suit with
Consistency.
it, consistent,
okay,
I didn't have an issue with it, and I told Ken that I was fine with it.
okay. But the thing is, I felt bad last week because I just couldn't answer some of the questions.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, so that's why I pushed that.
We're not here because we know everything,
No,
you know?
jeez, definitely no. Okay, that was a follow-up from last week.
So no, I appreciate you setting that meeting up, because it was helpful.
Yeah, and Ken was more than happy to help out.
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, going through the mailbox, we got some, it looks like Thomas is resigning from the transfer station. He gave us a great written notice. This is a copy from Woody. So, I think this was an expected one. Is this the gentleman who was going to school?
No, it's another person.
Was he a part-time? I mean, not a
No.
regular part-timer.
Yeah, here's a regular
Should
part-timer.
we just
So,
name?
and then the other one that was supposed to be going to school said that he is looking for other, I did not give her a copy of that, so do you get the name?
Do
So he
we,
may be down too after this one.
okay, so, we may be looking at hiring, going through some hiring actions.
Well, we'll see how, the other one still hasn't
He
withdrawn.
hasn't withdrawn yet.
So we'll let
but-
him keep going for a little bit maybe, and
Okay.
see.
Okay, well, we'll be ready. The thing is, I'm convinced that, it's always gonna be revolving door because it's not it's like a
Well, it's not full-time,
time, no benefits.
no benefits, so you're gonna have revolving
Yeah.
people, there's people moving forward with their lives or,
You wanna encourage them.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's get that moving. Okay, I don't wanna put it in the block hole.
Okay.
Okay. I have, these are FYIs. This is a notice of decision from the planning board. There are 2 lot line adjustments in Gorham Pond. And briefly, I can explain what they were. The Gorham Pond Association owns a lot just adjacent to a piece of property, a personal piece of property belonging to a resident. Resident erected a garage, which was too close, kinda like violated the setback. And they worked in agreement with the association to buy a piece of the property, and so they did a lot line adjustment. They took 3 lots and established 2 lots out of them. Gave a piece to the resident, and the Gorham Pond Association took the remaining lot to keep it conforming, and made it more conforming by actually making a bigger lot.
So they didn't have to go to zoning at all for it?
No zoning, it was just a pure lot line adjustment, very simple, that it was done, and it was, all parties were very happy.
Oh, good.
Something like that for that particular project was, we did consult with John Trotter. He was a big help with us with that, so, and they went smoothly.
It's nice when things go, and they did it in one evening. She's in the mailbox, if you pass this down to Jennifer, she's gonna sign this for liens purposes, just some administrative paperwork.
That's a requirement by,
I'll be minute and a half time.
That's okay. We don't mind sharing.
I thought it was interesting, we got a follow-up from, Chris Remenar, if you recall, he was doing a traffic monitoring at Dunbarton Page's Corner. And, it almost in those 2 busy times of the day, back it averaged like 1,000 cars at the intersection at the busiest times, in the morning commute and the afternoon commute for about 2 hours.
You know what I noticed, Mike? There's more people are leaving the town than are coming back.
1,000 cars is a lot of cars though.
that's a 45-minute test at the morning and at night. I gave you each one in your packet. So
You
Allison,
also emailed them to us, so I haven't read it.
but I didn't know if you wanted to talk about it, but it's quite impressive. Allison said that when they had done a study back about 10 or 15 years ago, it had to be more than that, cause I've been here almost 15 years, so longer than 15 years ago.
Yeah,
She said that the count that they had done, there was like over 20,000 in an average day. That's a lot of cars.
yeah.
A lot of potential accidents.
So for 45 minutes, that's amazing.
So maybe for the amount of cars, it's actually a pretty safe intersection.
I guess you could look at it that way.
Glass half full, right?
Work it backwards on them, huh, Leo?
Okay, another action item from last week, if you recall, we talked about safety glasses.
Yep.
I got a note from, Mr. Woody, he has safety glasses on board, he's gonna implement a policy of using the banding machinery, he's gonna start making sure they wear safety glasses. And, but I wanna make sure, Lean, you had the latitude to get other types if those weren't acceptable, just Dave and I.
This was you, Mike?
Yes,
He had glasses already installed?
right, but they were sitting on the shelf, they don't do anything when they're sitting on the shelf.
Oh, okay, so they had them.
Yes,
Okay.
Can I say something about that?
please.
I listened to it last week, and what I thought last week was, it really would make sense if they all wore them all the time there, because anything can happen, and this town being responsible, anything could happen there, and any other, business of commercial or industrial, or, you'd be mandated to wear safety glasses all day, all the
You know,
time that you're
it's
there.
No different than the safety boot issue, it's a piece of safety hardware.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
What times do we say for them to use them?
Well, I talked to him briefly about just obtaining the safety glasses, he just wants to wear them while, the bails are being tied off. I think he got hit on his eye when a piece of cardboard hit his eye, had nothing to do with the bails.
It could be anything, it could be, you know, it
Glass,
could,
they handle all that glass.
right, but I
It's
mean,
all
it could be a
different
windy
types of-
day and somebody's putting something up there and something flies into their.
Are we in consensus that should be worn all the time then?
You know, I mean, if you think about it,
I think,
I think we'd like to, maybe next time Woody comes in, we should bring him in, invite him in to talk about it.
is it part of their job description, how is it,
It is not. To wear safety
I'm
glasses?
thinking maybe we
I
need
guess
to
so.
change that before we,
Yeah,
But
Man.
if you look at it, if they're providing personal protective equipment, that would be part of your personal protective
And
equipment.
so I wanna
it
make
is.
sure that we review that and see if it's in there.
it does say that in
It
their
does.
job description, that they would be provided with safety equipment related to boots, reflectors, and I'm not sure, and
Yeah.
hard hats.
Personal protective equipment is,
But-
you know, is-
Okay.
So, I'm in consensus that they should, wear them all the time, they're all using either balers or cardboard hardwood wrappers or putting it in the,
The glass breaks all the time when they're throwing glass and it comes up at you.
a lot of times they're smashing it.
Yes, they are, they are.
So,
But how many times have you been there on a real windy day? Those windows are open, people are dropping stuff on the counter.
Blowing.
Anything can blow in their eyes. The other thing that they should probably be wearing air protection when they're running those balers and everything.
well, I wanted to make sure that the safety glasses were of a decent quality, so they wanted to wear them.
Right.
And not a cheap, I don't know what they have.
I know, and the thing is, and he
If
kind
they're
of,
cheap, you won't wanna wear them, cause
No.
they scratch
Yeah,
up,
but
they
listen,
sweat.
in
They
my-
just won't feel good, they,
Yeah, but I tell you what, what'll happen is they'll be losing them all the time anyways.
yeah, we, again, you.
So you're gonna be losing expensive glasses all the time.
But the thing is, you come into a happy medium, something of not lowest quality, but not something of the highest, something in the middle that provides a appropriate Z87, that's the eyeglass standard.
of course you would know
I know.
that.
Appropriate, it's
Well,
gotta
why
be.
don't you find someone, you're in the business.
Well, the thing is, it's like anything else, like a pair of boots, like you go pick a pair of boots, we don't tell them what type of boots they wear, as long as it meets the standard.
Yeah,
Thing is, I really think, in my opinion, we're gonna get some pushback from the transfer station manager, so I think we need to call him in here and explain him what we need to do.
I agree.
I don't think, it doesn't show me any pushback in there.
I got some pushback when I first
Oh, you
talked to
did?
him, I did.
Oh.
And the thing is, he needs to hear it clear from us in a very civil setting.
Glad I wasn't the
Logical
first
way.
Right.
If you have someone that has an eye injury, that's a permanent eye injury, you'll find out just how expensive it
Oh,
was
it-
not to provide glasses.
And comfortable glasses.
Well, not to provide, but not to enforce it either,
Right.
you know?
So I think I'd like to invite Mr. Woody next week for a follow-up on that.
Okay,
All right, another follow-up I just wanna bring up, he also, did a drive-by, when I was doing a drive-by with that trash, and I saw Woody, we talked about the cell phone. He's basically, I got the impression that he talked to the gentleman, the Verizon sales rep, and he was on the impression he was only getting a cell phone upgrade without changing the plan. So I think the plan may have been like a pack, pushed onto it with a new cell phone. So Lean is doing a follow-up.
Yep,
With
I'm
the.
just
Yeah,
waiting
cause
for,
I couldn't find anything but the $10 friends and family upgrade,
yep,
and so it didn't even equal the $13 that they
No.
went up.
might have been tax that we weren't
So it
seeing.
could have been, yeah,
So, but Mr. Woody Brown did not ask for any upgrades except for the phone. And so,
Right, but what happens when you get a free upgrade most of the time, because I've been with Verizon for a long time, and the minute you get an upgrade with the new phone that they wanna give you for nothing, is an increase in what the cost of the plan is per month. So, I mean, there is a cost. We can say the phone's free, but if you're paying, we'll say $13 or $14 more a month over a year's time,
it's just how they hide the cost of it, right, Bob?
exactly.
so, but Lean has that for action on her table, she's got an email out to that representative at the
Yeah,
top there.
every time I return his call, he's out of the office for like 7 days, so it's like, okay.
Typical
So-
salesman. All right,
Can I just ask, Mike,
That or-
yes,
are
please,
you gonna get a hold of Mike, Woody to come to the meeting, or do you want me to?
just send a notice, one notice, copy all of us on it, that's all you have to do.
Yep.
That he's been invited. And we'll put him on the agenda.
Just put down, Lean, that the suggestion, the selectmen had suggested or asked that he come to the next meeting.
Yeah.
All right,
And if it's convenient, we can put them at the very top, right after, approving the minutes.
Yeah.
So we get them in and out, and then he won't be,
Okay,
here for hours.
so I'll schedule for 7 PM then.
yeah.
All right, got an update from Municipal Mitchell Group on trial preparation. This has been Mr. Sansucci's testimony. I don't know if there's any action needed, it was more of a FYI. This is representing the utility, the thing we talked about last week.
And while that's up on the agenda, Lean did send me a notice where she's asked them to review the new steel poles going into town for a new assessment on there, so,
Exactly.
or some advice on it.
Well, anything new like that starts at zero again, 100% assessed value.
Yeah.
It's not depreciated, you're spot on that. Did you get that? I wanna make sure you got that topic.
Yes, I gave her a nice detailed little
Okay.
list of things from mailbox. I
Pre-
did miss, I
pre-
missed 3 of them so far, but,
Previous people have yelled at me saying, I have no idea what you're talking about, slow down and talk about it.
okay, I-Gear we talked about, email we talked about.
May 10th at 7:15.
Yep,
That's gonna be, we have a, public hearing on road projects for May 10th, 7:15.
it's already been posted in the paper and it's up on the town website.
And we already had a resident inquire about that already this year.
You do?
Yes, she came in the town office today.
Is that? Oh, yeah, okay. She wants to complain, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
All right, I got a letter from the Historical Society referencing the Dunbarton Cemetery trustees. It seems like the cemetery wanted to take over one of the cemeteries, which is under the care of another organization. And they requested that they do not pursue any more action on that. You see how that's read? So accordingly, that Dunbarton, the Mansion Road is the Stark Cemetery.
Which is a private.
It's a private cemetery with a trust, with a trust, where dollars are used to maintain it and does not require the town to maintain that.
I did get some calls this week from both sides to discuss it, and I talked with Don Larson at length about it, and he was providing more informative information to them in case they did wanna turn it over, not that he actually
So it
was.
was more it was more
It was
courtesy.
he was trying to be courteous and proactive and not.
Oh, okay, so they misunderstood the
Yeah,
letter that he gave.
so he was trying to be proactive if they had wanted to do that, because of conversations he had heard, but not that he was reaching out to actually do anything they didn't wanna do. And they were having their meeting the following night, and they were gonna vote on how they wanted to handle it, and it looks like they voted to keep it in their hands at this point.
Yep, which is fine.
Yep.
Okay, if you recall last week, part of the discussion was that, this is,
Do you want the title of that committee?
D
We
is
have a couple of them, so you might wanna make sure it's the right one.
Society. Society.
Let's give it to her just so she
Yeah,
can read it.
that's one that I missed in her.
And this isn't a town,
That's right, so I wanna
it's
give her
a
the head.
private entity.
Dunbarton Historical Society.
If you recall last week, part of our discussion, we had a small discussion on food pantry and how we were helping support this food pantry through liability insurance. The food pantry has been basically, I got an email from Reverend Sergeant, who was running the area, Goffstown Area Salvation Army Food Pantry. It's no longer in existence. And so,
He didn't put the name of the church in there, but I had talked to him at length, and it was actually located in the Goffstown Hillside Methodist Church,
Yeah, which is the one in Grassmere.
correct.
but it's no longer
So
functioning.
we're paying insurance
We
on
did.
this for no
For
reason
nothing.
at this
So,
point.
yeah,
So we can terminate that insurance, or I just say, probably get a prorated rebate on that insurance.
yeah,
Yeah, if you terminate it, they should send us one.
yep, and I have contact with that insurance company, cause I always requested a
That
invoice
was
to be
nice
sent.
to know, huh?
Yeah, it would have been nice to know, yeah.
But we're covering
Did you
the,
get that one? Did you see it?
it's called peeling back the onion layers.
Anyway, the food pantry in Goffstown is no longer in operation, that we were paying building liability insurance on.
I think I signed that one,
You did.
finally. I thought I signed 3 of them. I'm looking at all the ones go by, I see nothing signed.
We do have another item from the report from the building department. This is just some of the work, some of the ongoings of the building department. And that's more of an FYI, so.
Okay, I have a copy
You
of
have a copy of
that.
that? Want to give a copy of
I
that?
have
Yeah.
a copy of that also.
And so I think it's nice that it keeps us informed as far as some of what's going on as far as projects in town.
I've asked them to, try to do this on a monthly basis, and if not, at minimum, a quarterly basis, so the board will know what's going on.
It's a great idea, and I think it kind of mends in with what I asked for the school, so the two can be put together. Because it's more than just school that's happening in town.
Well, and it also lets us know what's going on in the building department, so if somebody asks us, a resident asks us questions, we're not blindsided,
Exactly.
which was,
State Fire Marshal should have 2 L's, right? I'm sorry, I just
sticks out.
I'm not gonna have him change it. until you-
No, but just for the future, for the purpose. I think Marshall has two
It
L's.
does.
It just came right up at me, bit me.
I guess so, Mike.
All right, if there's, Mike's asking for if there's, any recommendations, I think you can digest this,
This one here's that's the pipe in Linda's office, right?
yep.
It didn't say whether it was asbestos yet.
No, the reason why, they took 3 samples and actually gonna test it at the lab. Their first impression is no, however, I don't believe them until I see the lab comes
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, the woman that was here had said that she saw hair in it, which represents a hair plaster of some kind. So she was not 100% sure it
Well,
was
didn't that one
asbestos.
burn?
No, it sparkled. It really wasn't burning, it was sparkling.
Oh, so that meant it's not?
No, that doesn't mean it's not. When it does that, usually there is, but
I just know it smelled really bad and it was burning. Like,
Well, we'll have her in here to talk with you, Bob.
yeah. Take some deep
let's
breaths.
see what goes. So I did, when Mike told me about the 3 additional samples, I said, just go ahead and do it, we need to find out one way or another, so.
Yeah. And as a courtesy, I took Lean's knowledge and I shared it with the town clerk who works right next to it. And so she's happy that we're looking at it. Okay, let's see here. I think that's my inbox, it's almost come to an end. I'm gonna take it to the public comment next.
Okay, Lee Martell again. So, not that I'm against this project by any means, but Arts on the Common is gonna be coming around in a couple of weeks. And I
Yes.
think, I'm sure I've talked to someone about the bathrooms in the library being used for public use throughout this weekend event. Well, I guess it's just a Saturday they're using it. And I was in there last year and there was like a lot of people using that, kids running in and out, kids running around the library who don't belong in there.
You know,
I thought we had made a decision to get a handicap unit outside so we could lock
Okay.
it.
I've
just
already
want-
communicated that to
Okay,
Dawn.
all right, I just
And I-
wanted to
and I-
make sure that, you
Yep.
know, we were.
I
So-
mentioned
so
to
noted.
Dawn that they were typically put on this corner and we were told they don't like to walk all the way
Right.
across. So I've asked them to relocate it to that parking lot.
Yeah.
I said, no problem. I said,
Yeah,
that was easy.
because that's what happens, you know, I mean,
And
There
so
were
we're gonna
people-
lock the doors just so everybody's right to the library,
I just
right?
think, and I think Mary needs to do appropriate, security measures at the library to make sure it's,
Well, I think what they have to eliminate also is opening the front and having coffee on the inside, cause that gets people trying.
because everybody gets in there too. There's a
Right.
lot of people that go in that building, I'm telling you. And it'd be
No, I
a
think the
shame that we're
building-
trying to raise money to restore it, and then we gotta put money into the bathrooms or into the library because it got broken.
that's the latter part. I think that it's not only the handicap bathrooms of this building, but actually having access to that. I think the librage should be closed that day.
Just lock it up,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a weekend, right?
Yeah,
And I
Can we
think,
talk with Mary about that?
yeah,
And if she has, issue with it, Lean, then maybe she approach us with.
Yeah,
we
we-
can talk to the trustees.
we have real, yeah, she has a trustee meeting next week,
Yeah.
and we have some real concerns about the,
I'm not trying to.
overloading the septic system.
I'm not trying to spoil their day, but I mean, like I said, it'd be a shame, we're trying to restore the building and we're gonna ruin the bottom floor though, you know? Like I said, when I was in there, I couldn't believe how many people were in there milling around and they didn't belong in town, they were just milling around. One fella actually opened the front door and come to find out the next day it was still unlocked, still open. Nobody knew it,
Yeah.
so it's not good, you know?
Anything else, Leo?
No, that's my complaint,
No, you're concerned.
it's my complaint.
Oh, is that your guy here
Yeah.
for the check? Oh,
Yeah.
good,
We needed to, I'm glad we inspected that.
yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Leo, cause I
To
agree
remove-
with you with this.
Where'd you go?
Yeah,
Are you using the bathroom?
no need for it.
It's a good reminder. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to the board. I'm gonna start with Dave first.
I think we reviewed everything I had with the town hall. I also wanna say that, Lean did send the notice over to Patrick Bowen, Woody, to get him to highlight the
Yes,
list
I
of
saw that
essential
email.
things that need to be done. So we're gonna work on that before our next meeting to make sure that we start on those projects as well. So I think we're underway in good shape on our projects this summer. When we get the painting,
Yeah.
RFPs in, we'll,
The second, Lean, I hate to add more work to your pile, but I have to. Dave alluded to the painting. It's not only painting of that one, we need probably an RFP for the painting of the garages.
And it'll be similarly set up, but we will start with, we'll start with the library one first.
Absolutely, the more expensive one.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if it's less than $10,000, it doesn't really have to, we can,
Make a
we
decision.
make.
Get 3 quotes.
Right, we can get 3 quotes and make a decision. Okay, Bob, to you?
Let me think, cause I lost my train of thought when we're talking about the library, cause it was something I was gonna bring up, so
Okay,
maybe I'll remember.
I'm gonna pass me, I'm gonna go to Lean. Do you have anything for the group?
No, you have covered everything that I had to talk about. Hopefully I can get caught up next
Okay.
week.
Yeah, I just wanna emphasize, I thought the minutes were a great start.
Thank you. I know that I fully expected a period of adjustment, so any suggestions or revisions or?
Just,
anything
you
completely as
you saw
constructive?
what I did to the non-public minutes.
Yes.
You know, it was more, I streamlined them a little bit,
Mhm.
but I like your format, I'm getting used to it too.
Yep.
So it's a little bit of both ways.
It takes me a few minutes to read the motion and the follow-up one now, cause we've been doing it different.
Yeah.
Which
I
is,
will aim to be a little less wordy with the. with the
Right, and
sentences.
well, it'll save on paper too.
okay, non-public, I don't think we have a non-public tonight.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, okay. Leo, I like to stand by, sir. Now I'd like to make a motion, we go into non-public for RSA 91-alpha, Roman
Check
numeral.
with Bob, Bob, did you
I
take
did.
it?
No, if I think of it, I will,
Yeah.
make a note of it, so I can,
I'll second Mike's motion.
Colon 3, number 2, paragraph C. I'll second.
Second Mike's motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Martell says yes.
Kaminsky, yes?
No, Jeff.